The way of the blade, the biting wind of the northern mountains, was a constant companion to Riku Hoshino. 2 years had peeled away the soft edges of the charcoal seller's sun, replacing them with calloused hands, corded muscle, and eyes that held a depth far beyond his years. He stood before Master Kiyoshi Ueda, a figure as unyielding and ancient as the gnarled pines that clung to the mountainside. The old man's back was ramrod straight, his expression a perpetual mask of stern contemplation. When Riku first arrived, clutching the wooden box containing his sister, Aika, he was a raw wound of grief and vengeance. Kiyoshi had simply nodded, pointed to a small, secure cave entrance nearby, and then to a towering cedar tree. "Chop it," he'd commanded, handing Riku a dull axe. The first few months were a blur of aching muscles and burning lungs. Riku ran up and down treacherous mountain paths, carrying heavy boulders. He swung the axe until his hands bled, felling trees that seemed impossibly thick. He practiced falling, rolling, and regaining his footing on uneven terrain. Kiyoshi's unimpressed gaze a constant pressure on his back. Every morning, the same routine began before dawn, the air crisp and cold, the first rays of sun painting the peaks in hues of orange and gold. "Your body is a vessel, boy," Kiyoshi would bark, his voice raspy but clear. "Weakness in the vessel means a weak blade. Strengthen it, or the Nightborn will tear you apart like paper." Aika was Riku's anchor. During the brief breaks, he would visit her in the cave. She remained mostly silent, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She still wore the muzzle Kiyoshi had fashioned, and her hands were bound. And Riku saw past the demon. He saw the sister who used to laugh and chase fireflies. He would sit beside her, sharing his meager meal, talking to her about his day, about the pain, about his unwavering promise. Sometimes, she would lean into his touch, a soft growl rumbling in her chest, a sound that always soothed the gnawing ache in Riku's soul. Her presence, a silent, powerful reminder of his purpose, was the only thing that kept him from collapsing under the relentless regimen. As the first year turned, Kiyoshi introduced the katana. Not a real Nichiren blade, but a heavy, unsharpened practice sword. "Hold it," Kiyoshi ordered. "Feel its balance. It is an extension of your will, not a mere tool." Riku spent countless hours swinging. Thousands upon thousands of downward cuts, horizontal slashes, upward parries. Each movement had to be precise, his stance perfect, his grip firm yet relaxed. His shoulders screamed, his wrists burned. But Kiyoshi was merciless. "Again, your footwork is sloppy. Page 17, focus. Where is your mind, boy?" Riku learned to clear his mind, to quiet the internal screams of his muscles, to focus solely on the arc of the blade, the rhythm of his breath. He began to notice subtle changes in his body. His endurance increased. His movements became smoother, more economical. He could feel the weight of the practice blade not as a burden, but as a familiar extension of his arm. It was during the second year that Kiyoshi began to introduce the concept of breath styles. He didn't name them, but he explained the fundamental principle. "The air you breathe is not merely for survival," Kiyoshi said one crisp autumn morning, watching Riku complete 1,000 swings. "It is energy. It is life. It is power." He demonstrated, taking a deep, controlled breath. Riku watched, mesmerized, as the old man's muscles seemed to ripple, his posture becoming even more formidable, an almost imperceptible aura of strength emanating from him. "You must learn to draw it deep," Kiyoshi continued, exhaling slowly, "to channel it throughout your body, to synchronize your breath with your movements. It will enhance your speed, your strength, your endurance. It will harden your body, sharpen your senses, and focus your mind." Riku tried. He focused on his breath, mimicking Kiyoshi's technique. He felt a faint warmth spread through his chest, a slight tingling in his limbs. It was fleeting, elusive, but it was there. He spent months practicing, trying to grasp that feeling, to make it last longer, to intensify it. He meditated for hours by the rushing mountain stream, listening to the water, feeling the wind, trying to connect with the natural flow of energy. There were times of despair, times when the enormity of his task, the memory of his family's screams, the sight of Aika's demonic form, threatened to overwhelm him. He would collapse after training, utterly spent, staring at the stars, wondering if he would ever be strong enough. But then he would remember Aika, curled up in her cave, waiting, and a fresh surge of resolve would course through him. He learned to fall not with a crash, but with a controlled roll. He learned to run not just with his legs, but with his core powered by his breath. He learned to swing the sword not just with his arms, but with his entire body, a flowing, unified motion. His movements, once clumsy and forced, now possessed a nascent grace. The rough edges of his grief had been honed into a sharp, unyielding determination. 2 years. The small boy who arrived had transformed. Riku now stood taller, his frame lean and powerful. His eyes, though still holding a trace of sorrow, burned with an unwavering fire. He could now execute the 1,000 swings Kiyoshi demanded without breaking his form. His breathing deep and even, a faint hum of energy coursing through him. He hadn't mastered a breath style yet, not truly. But he had laid the foundation, a rock-solid base of physical and mental fortitude. One morning, as the first light touched the mountain peaks, Riku completed his final set of swings. He stood, blade held firmly, his breath controlled. Kiyoshi, who had been observing from a distance, walked slowly towards him. "You have learned much, Riku Hoshino," Kiyoshi said, his voice softer than usual. "Your body is ready. Your mind is focused. The seed of your breath is planted." He paused, his gaze piercing. "But the path ahead is fraught with greater trials. The Nightborn are cunning, and their strength knows no bounds." Riku lowered his practice blade, bowing deeply. "I understand, Master Kiyoshi. I am ready." He looked towards the cave where Aika slept, a silent promise hanging in the crisp morning air. The way of the blade was long, but Riku had taken his first crucial steps. He was no longer just a boy seeking vengeance. He was a weapon, forged in the crucible of loss and honed by unyielding discipline, ready to face the darkness that had stolen his world.